What's going on? This is Kareem from DJBooth.net, and I'm here in my brand new lab to bring you guys the first review video from this new space. We'll probably give you guys a tour soon, so stay tuned and subscribe for that. And subscribe for more review videos and unboxings just like this one. But let's hop right into it. This is the Zone 96. It's been out for a little over a year now, but you know, we wanted to get this into the lab in order to really put it through its paces because we like using regular vinyl and we like that nice analog sound that you get from the Zone 92. And this is the Zone 96, which is the successor to the 92. It has a lot of new bells and whistles, and almost everything that you got in the 92 you can get here too, but you're also going to get a lot more, including you're going to get your digital sound cards. You're going to get two of them in here so you can hook up two different DJs. You're also going to get two of your cue sections so that way you can have two DJs playing at the same time using two different cue sections of the mixer. So a lot of inputs and outputs. You have many returns, many sends, and a lot of line level and phono level inputs. You're very loaded here with all of the outputs that you needed as well. So we're going to take a really deep dive into this mixer and show you what the new Zone 96 is all about. First things first though, you have a really solid mixer. It's nice, big, and weighty. It has a full metal enclosure, so you're going to get very good longevity out of this thing. It's going to really stand the test of time. It's built like a tank, just like the Zone 92. Every single knob that you see here has metal posts and pots underneath. It also has metal switches, and these little switches have a really satisfying click to them, and you really know exactly where each one is in the settings, and they're going to last you a very long time. Same thing with the faders. You have very nice, smooth, super smooth faders for your line faders, and then you have a mini Innofader for your crossfader as well. So very good build quality overall. And now we're going to take a quick look at all of the inputs and outputs. Alright, so here are all of the inputs and outputs that we have on the Zone 96. There are many other 4-channel mixers on the market today, but they don't have nearly as much sends and returns and inputs and outputs as the Zone 96. So this is perfect for those DJs that have lots of devices, lots of internal and external effects routing happening, and also even MIDI devices connect to this as well. So all the way to the right, we'll start off with the microphone inputs. You have mic A and mic B. They can be used with the two auxiliary channels with the parametric EQ. You also have your audio sync out, which can also be used as a record out from a mini jack. You have send 1, send 2. You also have return A, B, C, and D. These can also be used as line level inputs if you need so. Then you have the booth output, a master 2 output. These both have their own volume control knobs, but the booth actually has its own separate EQ and a mute button as well. Very big plus for DJs that are in a real DJ booth that need to press that mute button real quick because things can get hectic in that DJ booth. Next, you have your master send and return. You also have your master 1 output. Then you have a record output here, and you have your power AC mains in, on, off, toggle switch. You have an X link here, so that way you can use other Zone products like the Zone K1 or K2 controllers. You have a MIDI output here, so that way you can connect to other audio devices and have synced MIDI right here from your old school MIDI port. And your USB 1 and 2 sound cards, which are Tractor certified, which means you can use this with Tractor Pro 2, and it'll work perfectly internal or external mode. And the fact that there's two of them makes it for easy DJ changeovers, and also easy for DJs to play together because you do pretty much have 8 different lines in on this bad boy, so you can have 2 different DJs playing at the same time. And you also have your 2 different microphone outputs, which we'll show you in a second. You also have your 2 headphone outputs as well, which we'll show you in a second. But as we continue on, you have your record output, then you have your 4 different line and phono inputs for your regular channels, and those can also be switched between line and phono as well when you are pressing these buttons here. Then you also have your ground posts for all of your phono inputs. Alright, so on the front we have your headphone 2 output. You have your mini and your 1/4 inch, and those controls are right here on the front. As you can see, you have your headphone 2 controls here. It gives you a cue master knob, and you also get to select whatever's in your master, and you have your volume control knob for that here. And then also on the front top of the mixer all the way to the right, you also have a mini and a large monitor section for your headphones. and you can control your volume, your master Q. You also have split Q on this, and you have post EQ on this as well, so that way you can determine whether you want to hear or monitor with post EQ or pre EQ at the push of a button. Alright, so here it is, the Allen Heath XONE 96. Again, this is the successor to the XONE 92, which looks very, very similar to this, except it has a darker gray faceplate. I like this lighter gray faceplate with the black paint underneath. It's better to see when you're in low light conditions, and even when you're in really good light conditions like today. You have your crossfader all the way at the bottom. This is a mini Innofader crossfader. Very, very good crossfader. It's great for scratching. It's also good for mixing and fading. It's very, very butter smooth. And you can also adjust the cut-in distance underneath the faceplate, or when you remove the front panel, you'll very easily be able to access the control in order to change the cut-in distance. But the cut-in distance is very, very minimal right out of the box. So it's good for cutting, but this type of mixer is not really known for people who like to scratch, but at least you have the option and the ability to scratch here on the XONE 96, while you didn't have that on the 92 unless you had a way to replace that crossfader. Up above that, you have your very long throw line faders. These are your 4 regular channels with your 4-band EQs. You also have your 2 auxiliary channels here, A and B, that also have parametric EQs. These have slightly different faders here. These are like your studio style faders, but they feel just as smooth, if not smoother, than your line faders, and they work just as well. Right above your line faders, you have your cue button, so that way you can cue up in your headphones what you want to hear at any given time. You can also cue your 2 smaller returns, or these line level channels that you may need over here as well, your C and D. We'll get to those in a second. Just above that, you have your crossfader assignment switches. These are very, very robust switches. It's the same switches that they're used for the filter select, filter module 1 and 2, and also the channel fader and the line fader for the crossfaders. Curve control is also on the same type of switch. Very robust switch. They're nice and small and shallow, but they're very, very strong and very, very sturdy. All metal. Really good stuff. Next, for your 4 channels here, your main channels, you have your low, mid, and your high 4-band EQs, along with your gain control at the top. These 4 channels can be selected between USB 1, USB 2, or phono and line inputs on the back. These channels over here to the right have a parametric EQ, which give you a low, mid, and a frequency changer here, so you can change the frequencies of where your cutoff is between your different frequencies of your bands. Then you have your high all the way at the top, and then your gain controls. These 2 channels can be used for USB 1, USB 2, mic A, mic B, or return A, return B, which can also be used as line level inputs if you don't have them or you're not using your microphones. Next, you have your sends and returns for all 6 of your channels. You have your send 1 that can be pre or post fade. You have a button underneath each one of them that you can press in order to make them pre-fader, and the send 2 is always post fader. You have that as well, so that way you can really get crazy with your effects here on the XONE 96. Next that we skipped over is your filters. These are the legendary XONE filters. You have filter module 1, filter module 2. You can enact these on your 4 different channels that you have here. As you can see, they can go from 1 off to 2, and when you turn them on and off, there's no popping like there was over on the XONE 92. You have your frequency knobs here. You can make these low, by, or high pass filters. You have your resonance knob, and then you also have a crunch knob, which allows you to crunch the effect of the different filters. Next here you have your lines C and D. C and D have on-off switches, so you can turn them on and off, and they also have Q, so you can cue those up. And then they have a line level. You can't really change the EQs of these, but these can be used as your returns, or they can also be used as additional line level inputs if needed. All the way at the top and the right, you have your master control volume knob, master 1 and then master 2. Below that, you have your booth section here. Really cool to see that you have a mute button on your booth. You have your volume control knob. You have your low, mid, and high EQ, so you can balance that EQ just right when you're in that DJ booth. And then you have your stereo mono switch as well, so you can turn your booth into a stereo or mono setup. Below that, you have your channel fader curve control, so that way you can adjust exactly how sharp the curve is when you're moving these from 0 all the way up. Then you also have your crossfader controls where you can change the curve of your crossfader. There's 3 different settings here. Sharpest all the way to the right, and your more smooth all the way to the left. So in conclusion, the new Allen Heath XONE 96 mixer is perfect for those DJs that have a lot of different external devices and they have a lot of different external effects and internal effects that they want to apply to a mix, because this mixer has more inputs and outputs and sends and returns than anything else that's really out there on the market today. You have 4 different line channels that all have your 4-band EQ, and then you have 2 additional channels that give you that parametric EQ, and then you have 2 additional returns that can also be used as line level inputs as well. So bringing your total inputs amounts to 8 if that's what you really need and that's what you really see fit. And you can also use a lot of the sends and returns for all of your different effects modules and your pedals and so on and so forth. The XONE 96 also has 2 separate cue outputs, so that way you can have 2 different DJs using 2 different cue sections at the same time for back-to-back performances or for combo performances where 2 DJs are rocking out with one XONE 96. It also has the dual USB sound card, so for easy changeovers, and they are Traktor Scratch certified compatible, meaning you can use this with your Traktor vinyl and your DVS, or you can just use it in internal mode with Traktor and it'll work just fine. It also has a booth output that has its very own EQ, and it has its own mute button, so when you're in those booths and your booth situation is a little bit too loud and hectic, you can just press the mute button real quick and then that'll be all gone at the push of a button. It also has those 2 legendary XONE filter modules on here, so you have 2 of them here that you can take advantage of, and it also has that excellent sound quality, and it also comes with that built-in mini Innofader that you can fully adjust on your own. On the downside, this is not compatible with Rekordbox or with Serato DJ at the time of this review. Hopefully they'll come on board so that way you can use this with all of the big 4 of the software that are out there today. And the fact that it's also just a really niche type of mixer and that it only has filters on board, it doesn't have any of your crazy other effects. There's the Allen Heath XONE DB4 for that. There's also the 900 SRT. You also have the Denon X 1800, and they all are about the same price or less than this, but they include a lot more bells and whistles in terms of onboard effects and things that you can do with the effects program. This is more built just for those DJs that really want that warm analog sound. They want that XONE 92 feel, but they want to bring it into the digital age, and they also want something that has lots and lots of inputs and outputs to connect many different devices and many different sends and returns for all of your effects needs. For more on the written review, you guys can head on over to www.djbooth.net/DJS. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up if you like videos like this. Make sure you guys subscribe so that way you know exactly when the next videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.